So I wanted to talk about something that's really important, not sweating the small stuff. When you're working on your marketing, you really have to focus on the bigger picture and the strategy. So let's say that your marketing strategy entails targeting a certain audience. Great. And you know how to reach them, and you're gonna say, do a direct mail piece. That's great. Maybe you're gonna do a series of 3, which is probably better than doing 1. We never recommend you do 1. So you should always do 3 to 6, even a year's worth of direct mail pieces. But now, you know the target audience, you've got that nailed down, you've got the messaging down. Now, the next thing is, don't sweat the small stuff. Let's say, not a typo, that's certainly not what I'm saying. You should definitely worry about typos. The piece should have the correct messaging, again, should be directed to the right audience, and it should certainly be perfect when it comes to the writing. You don't want to have any mistakes. That's certainly not what I'm referring to when I say don't sweat the small stuff. What I mean is, if there's a yellow graphic element at the top right, don't delay it because you want it on the top left. That's not going to impact the piece. That's not going to impact the performance. What really matters is that it's on strategy, that it has no mistakes, and the design is part and fits in with your brand guidelines. Now, the little things, that isn't enough reason to justify lengthening the process, because what's most important is for it to get out the door and get that messaging out to your target audience. You don't want to sit on it for weeks on end because you want to move this to, again, something from the top right to the top left, or from the top to the bottom, little elements that aren't going to make a difference on the piece. In fact, we've seen pieces not go out the door for months just because of the revision process, which is another thing that needs to be addressed. And another tip that I'd like to address with clients, it's get your process in order. For example, who is the person who's going to make the ultimate decision? That needs to be stated, and it needs to be maintained, because if the piece goes around and around, there's always going to be changes. Someone's always going to want to make this element move to the other side, and then someone else might want to move it back, and then it's going to move again. And we've seen that happen. We've seen where a piece will start one way, it'll go through a revision and change, and then it'll go through a revision and change again, and then through a 4th revision and change back and revert to the way that it was originally. And now that's taken 3 weeks or 4 weeks where that piece could have gone out and really had an effect on the target audience and really done its job. So again, the tip is, don't sweat the small stuff. There's things that aren't going to make a difference to the marketing strategy. Rely and trust your marketing agency that they've done the best design, that they know what they're doing, that there's a reason for why they've designed the piece the way that they have. As long as the messaging is correct and there are no mistakes, it should definitely get out the door. And then the second thing is, definitely establish a process for editing so that you don't get into a vicious cycle and circle of continuous edits that are never ending.